Alright, so unfortunately, the only real good way to do this is to go support. As far as practicing general aim, in my opinion, Incursions is the best place to practice sniping, because that's where you have an actual legitimate head to aim at. But again, I don't know if I can stream that, so I'd rather not take the chance. Storm. Usually what I do is head to this center courtyard-ish area near the bridge. Hopefully no one joins, because that's just super frustrating. I usually head to about this area, because it gives you a lot of these lampposts to aim at. Whoops. And you generally want to practice flicking between different lampposts. And you can even practice recoil control if this is your kind of weapon. Let's blow this up here. Or not. Hello? Boxes? Give me a limpet. There we go. Ideally you want to flick straight to and not have to readjust between the two. But I'm again so used to sniping that I'm used to, so in my settings, under controls, under advanced, I have the sensitivity for 4, 5, 6, 8 times a little bit lower. So when I'm aiming down sight, I can be a little more accurate with precision, with minute movements. So when I'm ADS'd, and because I'm mostly sniping, I am used to slower movement speed. So what I mean by that is, for example, this is a one-time zoom, this is set to 100%. If I were to start at one edge of my mouse pad and go all the way around, I'm just about doing a full 360. If I were to do that with 80%, which if we go to advanced and set 1 times to 80, I'll do the exact same thing. So from the center and from the edge of my mouse pad, I'm a bit shyer. Unless that's set wrong in the controls. At one point these didn't quite match up. You can also try practicing like shooting out the actual lights, because then you can tell when you do hit something. General work on aim. Again, if you have incursions, it's a little more, I would consider it better, because you're shooting at actual targets rather than made-up targets. So you're programming more of your mind to be shooting at enemies rather than lampposts. But practice is practice, just like going to the gym. Star Wars soundtrack? No, this is from The Planets by Holst. Alright, take care, Unshiftable. I'll be back on tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully we'll have a bit better of a go than tonight was. Another tip for sniping, and I'll switch actually over to a sniper class here. Is there an easy way to get invited to... I have no idea, dude. Camry, the Baller 2020, thank you very much for the follow. Alright, so let's switch to my good old Ross. Oh, somebody joined. Great. Did that count as a death? No, if the game doesn't actually, like if it's not started, which it's not, it won't actually, like none of this goes towards accuracy or KPM or any of that. It's untracked, essentially. So there's many things to do with sniping. First things you're gonna want to do is stop moving if you're firing. That's basics 101. If you are moving, it's going to be a lot harder to hit your target. So for example, if I'm aiming at this, it's a lot harder to that one went to the left, but if I'm still, of course it's easier. Also hold breath, so PC default is shift. It steadies the scope quite a bit. If I don't, you can see it sways a bit. If you are moving a little bit, you can kind of counteract that sway, but shift is the easiest way. But it does have a limit. If you hold it long enough, you'll start swaying, which makes hard of long-range shots. Generally want to aim for the head, of course. Get the blatant easy stuff out of the way. But if you're struggling with that, a body shot is always going to be better than missing a shot. So let's say this is torso, this is the head. One thing I see dads do, and I'm trying to get better at doing myself, is aiming at the body first and flicking to the head. Now most rifles you do have to unscope to rechamber around. The Ross you don't, but I still do that frequently just so I can have a good view of if there are any other threats. If you're able to cover like this whole area, then you don't necessarily need to do it, because I have this wall blocking this way, I have this blocking up to here. I can kind of scope through this whole area quite easy. But you can flick up, you can flick down. You always forget to when you need to reload. I don't quite understand what you're... Oh, unscope, right. Yeah, I gotcha. Also flicking to the side. A good thing to get in the practice of when you're doing that is actually start by not shooting. Like pick a target where you're going to start from. Let's save this icon here. And then I want to flick to where that is. And then just kind of get the feeling of when I'm going to be releasing the... or pressing the trigger. So... if you're working on a set distance first, it's easier than varying that distance, but eventually you do want to get kind of used to going from different angles. And I would recommend, if you're doing flick shots, unscoping, because it's a lot easier to readjust afterwards, because usually when you are flicking, you're going to go past. So I released it somewhere around this area, but I flick past, so when I unscope, I have a better chance to reacquire my target. So I release, again, somewhere around here, but I finished my movement here. It's kind of like following through with a golf swing. And the advantage of unscoping is that you do have more movement as well. So if I want to challenge another sniper and I'm moving, it's much more difficult for them to acquire me if I'm running around like a crazy person. So that's where flicking, like what I initially showed, flicking between these different posts, for example, is going to train your muscle memory from going from, let's say, aiming at this post to running over here to aiming back and just reacquiring that target over and over. How can you be 100% certain that you're not going to miss? Yeah, honestly, just practice. And even you see me miss flicks all the time. It's going to happen. Eventually you'll get to a point where you'll hit most of them. Practice. Practice. When it comes to quick scopes, that's a little tougher, because there's a point where it's going to be either just the hip fire and you got lucky, or you were aimed in just enough, and I'm not 100% sure when that becomes fully accurate. I haven't tested that out quite yet. I would have to test that out in incursions, because then I can tell if I'm actually hitting something. There might be something we can shoot where we can actually see. Incursions is just the competitive Battlefield 1 mode. So it's more similar to like a search and destroy kind of thing. I think. Not 100% sure. I just use the training. So if we make ourselves... Oof, that's a rather small target. But right now if I'm scoping in on this, it's the same location generally. There's a bit of sway. Mind you, hipfire. Okay, so hipfire would be within the inner corners of the arrows. Generally, I wait to see, like, through the scope before I quick scope, or like actually fire. You'll kind of get the hang of it just by doing enough. Similar to when you're. Oops, I'm out of ammo. Shit. Yeah. That's why doing it as support is much easier. You just give yourself ammo. When you're combining the quick scopes and the flicks, that's when it gets challenging. Ideally, you want to, if you're doing something like what I'm doing here, you want to keep your cluster as close as you can, obviously. And you can start by not moving, maybe starting your target over here and quick scoping to it, and then weave in the movement. That one was off. That one hit right here. That was a interesting one. So once you see the crosshair actually merge together, that would be, I'd say, when the best time to shoot would be, which is sometimes hard to see. Pretty decent spread, so if he was within the range I was shooting at, there's a good chance I'm gonna kill that dude. If that was his head there. And you don't have to, like what I'm doing with the Mars, I just prefer getting a little more accurate. Like this is, within that range, the chance of me hitting him hip fire is pretty high. Any questions? Bale, spell that with W-O-W instead of W-A-O. And if it comes to like, hey, all you want to do is quick scope, I highly recommend against that. You're gonna lose a lot of gunfights. You're honestly better off approaching a situation where I'm going to clear like this area, for example, and down here. Maybe not scoped, but taking a quick glance, maybe even popping a flare down there and seeing what's around there. And then I'm going to clear across to around this area, take a look through maybe. Ideally, I don't want to expose myself to this area, for example, because that's a rather large area to keep an eye out. And now I'm exposed to this whole area here. So I want to approach, maybe take a look here, take a look down there, and maybe then come around this way. Then I don't need to worry about this whole section over here. What's up? I am the J. And then I can keep an eye on. Now, obviously, this is the edge of the map, so nothing really is going to be past here, usually. Use your flares to your advantage for sure. So if you're approaching a flag, it's a good time to pop one if you're defending a flag or capping a flag. It's a good time to see if you know where they're going to spawn, for example. Jebediah, how's it going? Welcome, we're doing a little talkie talk, tactical talkie talk. Yes, this is on PC. But hey, these tips will apply to any console, PC, doesn't matter. Let's say, for example, this would be flag B on Conquest. The enemy team, so I spawned on this side of the map. The enemy team is going to spawn up here, so behind this area here, or come from either up here or behind this area here. So if we hold A and C, the likelihood of them coming from this area is very small. So ideally I want to position myself where I have a good viewpoint, either them coming here or them coming through this section right here, because then I have this area blocked, they can't see me from there, and I can peek over here, and I can keep an eye out here, and I have quick cover to hide from there, for example. That fire is a little annoying though, so do pay that into mind. Now if I'm on the other team, their spawn point is back here, and back in this back section behind this building. So let's say we hold D, which is back this way, and C. So again, they're not likely to come from behind me or from this area here, but they can easily come from that section there and from here. BF3 would probably be my favorite, but I don't play BF3 as much. I honestly don't like defending this side. I haven't found a good position to defend from. I suppose back here would be okay. Like, I can see them coming here, but then I'm exposed here and here. I hate defending this side. Honestly, I try staying back this way, but I'm exposed here. Let's say we didn't have C. It's a bad place to stand. If we don't have D, it's horrible. And then the best place to be, gosh, this is a real bad flag. This is one of the worst to defend from this side. You do have a little leeway because the cap zone kind of extends to this area and inward. So standing here-ish, I can peek here and I can cover here, I can peek back here, but I'm exposed here. So being aware of where they spawn, and you'll get the hang of that as you play. Just pay attention to where you spawn in if you spawn in an objective. Yeah. If we don't have any questions, I'll probably be rolling credits soon, and I'll catch you guys all another evening. Like when I'm off work tomorrow here. Yeah, I should be home at normal time, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific. Good brain tease? Yeah, no problem. Pizza rolls, when it comes to sniping, honestly the biggest thing, just like Daz reaches, is positioning. That's why I wanted to throw in that last section there where we were talking about like where I want to be as far as when we're capping things, how I'm moving through maps. So yeah, there's always try and figure out, use your mini map. Honestly, you'll see I have mine quite big here. So if I go into options, this is under gameplay, I think. Yeah, mini map. I have the mini map size set up to 145. I don't think I've changed anything else here, but world icons. This is a huge one. So icon opacity I have turned down for friendly soldiers especially. And for object icons, so object icons are going to be things like yeah, it's going to be things like objectives. So there are no objectives right now, but you know either the squares or the diamonds, those are world markers. And let's say I'm looking at C here, Conquest C. Maybe I'm up in this building. Probably be the best example I can give. And I'm looking down this way, and there's a giant C icon here. Maybe there's a dude behind it that I can't see. And so that will limit how much it blocks you, and also I have it set that when I'm aimed down sight, there's a different setting for that. So ADS icon opacity, I have it set to 7%. Really, I should have it set to 0 because I don't need to know where the objective is when I'm aiming down sight. It's irrelevant. By default, this is 100%. So imagine aiming down sight here where I've got a giant C icon. I can't see anything behind it. Let's say there's a sniper there. I'm dead. I can't do anything. Even just like anybody there, you can't see them. Also, I have friendly soldier opacity down, and this is good for both. These are really good for let's say I have some friendlies. Maybe there's a friendly that's down and it's showing I'm a medic and he's showing the skull icon that he needs a revive. I can't see anything still. There could be a dude prone behind him and all I see is this circle saying, hey, come res me. And the same goes, of course, for the icon here, is that, hey, it's reduced when I'm ADS'd. It's reduced even further. I don't want this one too low. And the reason being is that when I'm aimed down sight, let's say they're way back here, I'll see a dude and I'm like, hey, I don't know if he's friendly or hostile. I'll see a very faint blue dot. Sometimes I will still shoot at them, but it's not going to hurt them. And it's better that I can see maybe there's an enemy there rather than not seeing anything because all I see is a giant blue circle. And gadget icon opacity is also down there as well. I don't want to set the soldier opacity down. WAD request, I am going to turn that one down. Yep, they are amazing options, and no one really does go over those. I've seen even like Ravik and Music, I don't think they have those changed. And I'm like, dude, how... Camera shake also in advance, turn this down. Please, turn it down. I wish you could go further. Auto leaning, it's up to you. Personally, I don't like it, but at times it's handy, so I leave it on. Auto peek, handy. Auto deploy, I'm actually going to turn that off. I hate it. I am the J13. Thank you very much for the follow. The vehicle stuff, really up to you. Context-based order giving. I'm honestly tempted to turn this one off because I do hit the spot button a hell of a lot. So what that is, context-based giving, is this. So if I'm spotting a lot, and sometimes I'll hold it a bit long, and if I'm ADS'd, it brings me out. So I'm honestly on the fence about leaving that one on. Just because of how much I hit Q. And my keyboard is very... It's a mechanical keyboard. It's just got very light pressure to it, and it's very easy to hold. Do you know why I don't like the auto parachute? Just curious, Rygrad. Do you know why I don't like it? Aim assist slowdown. I think this is only for... Yeah, this is only for controller. It does open too soon, yes. I try and open my parachute as late as possible if I'm bailing. And for example, if you spawn on a teammate, the only downfall of this is, let's say I do spawn on a teammate and I'm not paying attention, you could die. So just be wary of that if you do that. But honestly, it's something that I would recommend turning off. I don't think there's really any other really important... you can customize your hit indicators, so I do have Oh, I need to change this. Critical hit kill. Critical hit kill. Critical hit kill. Damage I think this is labeled wrong. I'm still up. I'm giving tips. Giving tips and tricks. I like setting these different colors. I think by default they are all the same color. Maybe the kill is a different color, red probably. Headshot color I like having just to know if I've injured them more. So I know it makes a sound as well, but having a visual aid is going to hit you faster than a sound aid. And I think I'm going to change this one. I think it's like when I hit a horse, for example. Gonna quickly go over some control things as well. I don't like double tap to sprint. I find it super annoying. Although at times it's handy if your pinky's tired, you can double tap forward. Soldier weapon zoom. This is a preference thing. Honestly, I wish I was used to using click because it's less work on your hand and I can ADS without holding a button and I can concentrate more on aiming rather than holding that button down. But if it's something you haven't used or it's something you're not putting the time into using, it's going to be very annoying because you're going to be like, no, I want to go, I want to run. Pinky always tired. So I wish I could use that, but again, I can't, unfortunately. I'm just too used to holding. Pinky training, I would recommend leaving steady scope as hold though. Bayonet charge, I have it as hold because I don't like accidentally triggering it. I'm going to skip most of the controller settings because I don't know much about it. We went over this, but just in case anyone is joining us, personally I like having a lower sensitivity for higher zoom scopes because you're trying to be more precise. I do have uniform soldier aim on. Well, aiming from turning, yeah, that's a good one to have on. I think it's on by default. Under key bindings. I think the only thing I have really in here is I like a fast way to switch to my primary and back to my secondary. So, where is it? I like having melee on my mouse. I like having a button for toggle crouch and for hold crouch. The left control is my hold crouch, holding C is when I'm holding prone, and that allows me to quickly, if I want to, pop up and down a bit quicker, whereas this is a little more, control's kind of out of the way, but it's good for situations where I want to stay in cover and maybe use the pop-up. But yeah, I have F here to switch weapon. And that allows me to switch between primary and secondary without having to press like 1 or 2, for example. It's just an easier way. When it comes to last thing, what kind of mouse do I use? Type exclamation mouse. Does the sensitivity decrease in higher sensitivity gradually, or do they all 1/2 normal sensitivity? No. So, if I go into here, under controls advanced, I'm going to set the 4x scope back to 100. And so if I start aiming here and go from the edge of my, sorry for anybody that has seen this before, but if I go from the edge of my mouse pad and do a full sweep across, I go way past. So that's nearly 1.5 times. So that should be the exact same if I am scoped in to bring me to, oh, it doesn't. I'm so confused. It should be a 1-for-1. What? Is this still labeled wrong? Huh? Maybe this is affecting that. I don't have a keyboard command. My keyboard isn't that great. No, interesting. Maybe I just don't understand how scopes work. Well, anyways, it's currently at 100, right? If we ADS, that brings me to the middle of this car. That's at 100. And I bring this down to 80. It's a Corsair keyboard, though. Corsair Vengeance, I think. Starting in the same location. It brings me to the edge of this car, whereas the other one was here. So I do have a little bit more sensitivity when scoped in, or rather decreased sensitivity, which gives me more precision. Now, if you're doing something like that and you're switching between games that don't allow you to customize different zoom levels, that can be very hard to get used to, so it may be something you don't really enjoy. If you don't have incursions, you can do what I'm doing. Sniping out the lights, but they don't respawn, so you may have to do it and leave a server, join a server sort of thing. It's the next best thing, though. Oh, that was just shy. Okay, so anything over 4 times, all set to 80%. It's a preference thing. So I used to have them all set to 100, but I wanted to have more precision when I'm ADS. So again, it is a personal preference thing. Oh, I need to discuss something. So what happened there is I fired a shot, but for some reason, it seems to happen if you unscope at just the right time. You don't rechamber around, and you'll be stuck, unable to sprint, unable to fire, and what you need to do is hit the zoom button, aim button, and it'll undo that problem for you. I thought I turned that off. Apparently I did not. Or that can't be turned off. Where was that under again? Controls? Gameplay? Guess we'll turn it back on since it doesn't seem to... Oh, I have it turned on right now. Oh, it still does it. What's the point? I need a separate button for the comma wheel and a separate button for spot, but they don't give you that option. Ugh. I guess I just need to get out of that habit. Another thing, actually, one more thing to, as far as aiming goes and working on your aim, another thing to practice is tracking. So I want to keep as steady as I can on a target. This is a bit large of a target for my liking, but again, I want to be able to track it as best I can. So let's say I needed to scope in, I'm already in target for that, I'm ready to go. I have my crosshairs where I want to shoot, and I have to do minimal correcting, as opposed to, oh shoot, I need to aim over here, and then getting zoomed in. But typically when you're ADSing, most people aren't going to aim right on something, but if you can eliminate that adjustment, it helps quite a lot, because that narrows how much of a flick, if I'm going for one, that I have to do, as opposed to going from all the way up there. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So try not aiming down, aim where you expect people to be. There may be somebody coming from this corner or this corner, and I want to aim kind of at head level or below, so I can either flick up or just go straight for a headshot. Confidence in your shots, eventually. Gotta work on it, though. If you don't put in the work, if you're just jumping into games and you're not actually trying, you're not gonna get anywhere. And I'll be quite honest with you, my weakest flick is going to the left. I miss most of those flicks. It's my weakest angle, and it's what I'm working on, that and going from torso up. Because to me, aiming out for some reason just feels weird, because I'm moving further away from my body, I guess. I'm more of a wrist aimer than I am an elbow aimer, and I'm working on getting better at that because now I have a bigger mouse pad. Does anybody not quite know what I mean by wrist aiming and elbow aiming though? This would apply to PC gaming only. Yeah, I really need to elbow aim that. My up flicks are horrible.
A sentry
right
kit
out
is
of ammo.
available near your location.
Xbox One. So if you're playing on console, something you may want to consider is what kind of sniper you want to be. And what I mean by that is it's very hard to flick and quickscope if you don't have a higher sensitivity, because you're not going to be able to whip to something. If you want to do something like that and you're using a lower sensitivity, you just have to be more conscious of being on target before you ADS, because it'll limit the travel you need to go between something. But if I have a lower ADS, it's going to take longer obviously to get on target, which means I need to be more accurate before I aim in. Or not playing on console. I mean, that's, if that's all you got, I mean, don't knock console. Console's great. It's just some things are much harder to do with a controller than they are with a mouse and keyboard. Well, great talk, everybody. Hopefully some of you were able to take away some tips from that. Let's see here. I'm going to leave you with the... Who do I want to leave you with? No problem, Jebediah. We're going to go to Ninja Jelly's stream. Alrighty day. GG, everybody.
Good game.
Good game indeed. Alright, I'm gonna roll the credits, and then we're gonna hit up Ninja Jelly's stream. No problem.
Good game.
It's supposed to play more than that one.
Good game.
There you go.
Bye.
Alright, credits we go.